Hey, what is going on guys? My name is Gamertag and I'm back for your daily Fortnite video. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys how to nearly never miss any more shots with shotguns in Fortnite Battle Royale and basically improve your accuracy a ton. Now, the reason I find this video to be very important and a helpful topic in general is because, believe it or not, shotguns make about 80% of eliminations in Fortnite. If you guys just look at the kill feed at the bottom left of the game, you'll constantly be seeing people are getting eliminated by shotguns more than any other item in the game. Taking that into mind, of course, if we can improve and nearly perfect our accuracy with these items in the game, then we'll be able to, of course, get way more eliminations and in turn win way more games overall, and obviously just improve our general performance and skill level. So I've compiled basically what I consider to be some of the most important aspects and methods that will allow you guys to improve your accuracy very efficiently and quickly. Without being out of the way, let's hop right into this. And one of the most important things that I found to be very helpful in regards to landing more shots as well as dealing more damage as well is the level at which you hold your crosshair. Now, your crosshair is essentially like the square with the dot in the middle of your screen. This, of course, is kind of a general representation of where your pellets will go. So if you guys do not already know, Fortnite has a pellet system. So when you shoot a pump or a tac, it sprays about 8 to 9 pellets, I believe. And if you land all of your pellets on a very high volatile area on the body, then you will deal more damage. Obviously, if you land maybe 2 pellets at most, then this is why you'll be dealing like 22 damage. So a lot of people are always wondering, like, why am I dealing 22 damage while my opponent is dealing over 100 damage every single time? Of course, this goes back to the pellet system. It realistically means that your opponent is landing more pellets on your body and in a way more critical area. So a lot of players typically hold their crosshairs quite low, and this honestly is pretty natural. In fact, I do this at times as well, and I have to kind of subconsciously remind myself to hold my crosshairs higher. The reason we want to hold it higher is because if we do actually get into an engagement or a 1v1 battle, basically if our crosshairs are always held higher naturally, then you'll be landing more shots on the head and chest area. And then of course that will allow us to deal more damage and land more pellets. This will allow us to be landing 100 plus damage, maybe even possibly 200 damage every single time we take a shot on an opponent. So what I recommend you guys do is kind of imagine where someone would be placed in front of you. Let's say you're in a box and someone's in a box right beside of you. Where would their upper body, torso, and head be located in front of you? Kind of just imagine it and picture it, and you want to place your crosshair in that general area. This way, of course, when we are actually in the real scenario, we'll already have our crosshairs located here. Now again, this is something that's going to take some time getting used to. It might feel kind of unnatural at first, but after a day or two of consciously reminding yourself to raise your crosshair, then eventually it will become second nature and you will no longer think about it. Your crosshair will just generally and naturally rest here throughout the game. So that's the first tip, and again, this is allowing us to not only land more shots and pellets, but also allowing us to deal way more damage more times than not. You will no longer be hitting these 9 or 22 damage shots. You will not be hitting 100 damage upwards to 200 and getting those one-shot eliminations. Now, the next portion of today's video is going to be revolved around settings. Obviously, settings matters because if you have settings that are way too low in regards to your sensitivity, you will not be able to keep up with players, and your accuracy is going to be unbearably bad. Same goes for if your sensitivity settings are too high. You'll be over aiming, none of your shots are going to be landing, and also these will be pathetically bad. So finding the perfect sensitivity settings is extremely important. Now I'm going to share with you guys my sensitivity settings and just go over them very quickly. I strongly recommend you guys replicate these. Of course, if you use them and they are a bit too fast, then of course you can lower them, and vice versa. If they're too slow, then you can raise them. So making our way from top to bottom in our sensitivity settings, we're going to start with your advanced look sensitivity. Our look horizontal and vertical speed should both be set to a 61%. Our turning horizontal and turning vertical boost should both be set to an 18% with a 0.25 seconds as your turning boost ramp time. Moving our way down to our aim down sights ADS sensitivity. Our ADS look horizontal and ADS look vertical speed are both going to be set to a 6% with a 10% ADS turning horizontal and vertical boost, and our ADS turning boost ramp time should be set to a 0.10 seconds. All the way at the bottom, we have our advanced sensitivity. Our look dampening time should be set to a 0.05 seconds. Our look input curve, believe it or not, is going to be set to linear, which I'll explain here in a few seconds. Our aim assist strength should always be set to 100%. And then lastly, for our controller dead zones, the move stick dead zone can be defaulted at a 20%, with our look stick dead zone at a 10%. Now the reason I use linear over exponential is because linear allows a more raw stick input curve, essentially meaning no matter how little or how much you move your analog stick, it'll have the same reaction in regards to input. Now exponential, when you barely move your analog stick, the game will react as such and barely sway your aim. And then when you move it all the way, of course, you'll then move a lot faster in regards to looking around, while linear has the same input regardless of how little or how much you move your analog stick. A lot of people don't like this setting, and I completely understand that. However, the reason we turn this on is because it allows us to have snappier movements, we can turn on players a lot quicker, and everything is overall more easier to use. And basically, the way that we actually eliminated that really unnatural and weird fast feeling is by turning on a horizontal and vertical boost times, as you guys saw that we went over. We also keep a very slow and low ADS sensitivity speed. So despite the fact that linear is a very fast sort of look input curve and not natural for a lot of players, these exact settings that I just shared with you guys will allow you guys to feel very comfortable with them, and it almost feels like you're still using exponential. And then of course for our controller dead zones, again you can keep move stick dead zone at 20%, this does not matter. The one we really want to focus on is our look stick dead zone, and we want to lower this to a 10% because of course the look stick dead zone refers to aim, accuracy, editing, building, literally everything is controlled by our look stick dead zone. So by lowering it to a 10%, we still have a lot more control over everything is a lot quicker and snappier, and also again allows us to land our flick shots and turn on players as well. So those are for all of these settings. These are also actually referred to as aimbot settings, believe it or not. Literally by using these settings, even with other items like an AR or a sniper, you will pretty much land majority of your shots. Obviously, once you start using these settings, you're not going to feel super comfortable with them at first, so definitely give it a couple games to get used to, and eventually you'll see that you're landing the majority of your shots. We're now next going to be covering the very controversial topic of whether or not you should be aimed down sights when using pumps and tags. Now, a lot of people will say to aim down sights to have better accuracy, and then other players will argue that you should hip fire and not aim down sights. This way your shots can get off quicker, and you'll basically close the time gap of allowing your opponents to land a shot on you. Now, I pretty much am kind of in the middle. Sometimes you'll see that I do aim down sights, and other times you'll see that I don't aim down sights. And realistically, to recognize what scenario calls for aim down sights or hip firing comes with a matter of practice and time. Basically, whenever you have height on an opponent, essentially meaning you're above them and looking down on them, it's very useful to aim down sights on them. Now, if you're below an opponent, let's say they're on a ramp above you, then you do not want to aim down sights ever. If you do, then you're going to get eliminated, and deservingly so. You want to be aimed down sights only when you're above an opponent. If you're below them or even on the same level, you don't necessarily want to be aiming down sights, and you want to be hip firing. Again, it all comes down to speed and getting your shots off first. Same goes again if you're on the same level as an opponent. So let's say you're both in a box outside of each other and you're trying to make an edit play on one another. When you make that edit play, if you make an edit on a window and then go to take a shot, but you aim down sights before you take the shot, that is an unforgivable mistake. They're going to obliterate you, and you're going to have no time to even get your shot off. So do not ever aim down sights realistically when using shotguns unless you are above the opponent. Any other scenario, you should never aim down sights. I don't care what anybody says. There should never be a time you're aiming down sights if you're below an opponent or even on the same playing field as them. Especially when you're making edit plays, you want to always hip fire. This way you can get your shot off first. Now lastly of today's video, we're going to be covering aim courses. Now in creative, there's actually maps or courses rather that are made dedicating to allowing you to improve and practice your aim. Now I find this to be important before I load into a regular solos, duos, or squad game for the day. If I want to obviously have great aim, before I do anything, I'll load into an aim course and just practice my aim. And this goes honestly beyond shotguns. Obviously there will be aim courses that are dedicated to pumps and tacs. However, there's also aim courses that will allow you guys to improve your accuracy and practice with ARs and other items in the game. In the background, you guys can see what I'm basically talking about. You guys can see I'm on an AR aim map. Basically, there'll be dummies and also target practice in. Typically, they'll have a close range, medium range, and long range target practice. So this again is just used to warm up and improve your aim overall. I don't necessarily think that this will improve your aim in general. It's more of a warm-up course. So before you hop into a battle royale game, this is what you guys should be doing to, of course, warm up your aim. This way, when you hop into a game, your aim's not going to be all over the place, and you'll be able to land your shots as if you have been playing the entire day. Now, do not get me wrong, when it comes down to pumps and tacks, I do think you can improve your flick shots more than anything. Flick shots essentially is when you turn very quickly at a high rate of speed, land your crosshair on the opponent, and pretty much deal a ton of damage to them. Now, flick shots are typically done by competitive and very advanced Fortnite players. You don't typically see these done by your regular, relaxed, and comfort players in Fortnite. However, these are extremely helpful to dealing a ton of damage to your opponent very quickly and not allowing them to get a shot off in the meantime. So you guys can check the description for a couple creative map codes, or you can use the one at the top of the screen right now. This is the one I'm using. So again, I recommend you guys do this before you hop into a regular battle royale game to warm up your aim. So essentially in today's video, we've covered everything from sensitivity settings, where to place your crosshair, obviously we just talked about aim creative map codes, as well as whether or not you should be aimed down sights, and what scenarios calls for ADS and what scenarios calls for hip firing, and what is the better of the two, as well as the general pros and cons. Hopefully after using all of these tips, tricks, and methods that I share with you guys in today's video, I can honestly guarantee that you will see an immediate increase in your overall accuracy with pumps and tacks. Now, if you guys found today's video helpful or enjoyable, a like would be beyond appreciated down below. Of course, on the contrary, if you genuinely disliked today's video, then by all means feel free to leave a dislike as well. And if you're new around here and would like to see more daily Fortnite content like this in the future, feel free to subscribe as well as turning on those post notifications. Nonetheless, my name is Gamertag. Thank you all for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.